Here to help us sort through what's trending in the commercial real estate sector is Greg Nabholz, CEO of Nabholz Properties and a principal with Sperry Van Ness Commercial Real Estate. Greg, welcome to the program. Thanks for joining me.
It's good to be here, Roby.
Well, now looking at these numbers, these commercial real estate numbers, new commercial construction specifically, it would appear that there are some struggles taking place, at least with new commercial construction. Kind of what factors do you think are causing these results?
Well, I think it's a couple of things. I think, if you look at statewide, we have been, to some degrees, especially Northwest Arkansas, overbuilt. Obviously, with a lot of space on the market, you're not going to see any new commercial construction activity. The other thing is the bank lending requirements. They have certainly tightened up what they're willing to lend on. In the past, where you might have been able to go out and do a project with maybe only 20-30% pre-leased, you're looking at at least needing to have something at minimum 50 to, in most cases, 75 percent pre-leased before they'll even look at doing the deal. So I think a combination of bank financing getting a lot more difficult and oversupply has certainly impacted the construction.
Now, often commercial projects have a little seasonality to them. What are your thoughts on what's kind of around the corner? Are we looking at good news, bad news, or mixed news?
Well, I think it is mixed, actually. I think there's, a lot of the, if you look at a lot of the reports and a lot of, I guess, the people trying to figure out, just when is the recovery. And, of course, we got to look at it. We got to break it down from, a national level. People say that by 2011, 2012, see a pretty big maybe increase in the construction side of things on the commercial projects. But in reality, right now we've got some mixed news. I mean, certainly the economy seems to be on track. I mean, if you look at the last couple of days, there's been some announcements here statewide about various companies across the state, adding a couple hundred jobs here, 300 jobs there. I know there's and that's in the last couple of days. So there is that impact that is certainly helping. But we still have the issue of again, some oversupply of space and really just I think there's still people getting over the hump as far as wanting to get out there and really work on investing in a project. With that said, I think one of the things that I'm most excited about is what we're seeing with the increased activity in the downtown area, certainly here in North Little Rock, in the Argenta neighborhood, but across the river in downtown Little Rock, and also with what we're seeing in downtown Conway. There's a lot of optimism for people wanting to look at doing projects downtown. We're actually seeing several larger businesses that have been located in other parts of the city out on the fringes, West Little Rock, for example, that have moved downtown because they want to be in an area that is more accessible for the employees to get out, to where they don't have to get in a car the whole time, where the restaurants and the other amenities are right there at their doorstep.
Yeah, we're seeing some projects too. You mentioned in Little Rock,
yes,
North Little Rock, and in Conway, but we're also seeing some activity in Jonesboro and the Northwest Arkansas corridor.
Exactly.
Even some pockets of South and Southwest Arkansas, like El Dorado and Texarkana. Let's talk about what kind of projects you think might be the best opportunity to see some new growth in. We know that retail is definitely taking it on the chin. Tell me what we're seeing. Is there a retail rebound coming, or do you see some other areas? Where do you see some opportunity?
Well, I think, retail, saw a report the other day that the retail sales and the stock prices of a lot of these major retailers have basically rebounded back to the 2008 levels, which is a good sign. I still think the problem is that we've got a lot of big boxes that are no longer in existence, and there's a lot of that vacancy out there that it's going to take some time to absorb. Plus, kind of piggybacking on this thing I mentioned earlier, with this move back and a whole demographic shift back to this, kind of the city center, walkable neighborhoods, you're seeing a whole age group of folks that just graduated from college to the mid-40s that are not as enamored with the national chains and are looking more for a more local experience. And so I do see that, and we're seeing it play out here, is an increase in the number of entrepreneurs that are starting small, local retail type businesses, and so that's interesting, and personally I find that exciting.
Yeah, Greg, let's talk about how much we're seeing in terms of the broader commercial real estate industry right now. There's a lot of distressed properties out there. Investors have had financial troubles. That makes the market very ripe for investors looking to acquire something for maybe pennies on the dollar as opposed to building something new. Is that what's driving a lot of the investment right now in commercial real estate?
Well, certainly there's been a lot of money that's been on the sidelines hoping to take advantage of a lot of these distressed assets. And, it's been kind of, interesting that a lot of that, the big dumping of all these assets have just not really occurred yet. Certainly not here in Arkansas. What you've seen a lot of here in Arkansas, certainly, especially northwest Arkansas, is a lot of the land, commercial land, or certainly residential land that's been out there, and there's been a lot of fire sales, if you will, on that. A lot of banks, though, are really, especially the ones in Arkansas, who for the most part are very stable and have been conservative, are holding on to the distressed assets they have. I think they have a vested interest in not trying to dump everything onto the market that could dilute, the good performing assets, that are on the market. But that's, what they say right now with about $3 trillion in commercial loans that are, coming due here in the next 3 years. A lot of people say that the values of those could be decreased as much as 50 to 60%, and so depending on how that plays out, we could have a whole different scenario on a national basis. I think fortunately here in Arkansas, you have to look at real estate as local, and with the exception of the overbuilding that occurred in northwest Arkansas, we really have not been too tremendously overbuilt in any one sector. I do think that the main growth for office and retail is going to be smaller projects and end-user driven projects that people looking to move into either their own building, smaller deals, and it's going to be driven by those end users versus a developer.
Well, we've seen some high-profile developers, particularly in northwest Arkansas, file for bankruptcy, and it seems like they had a bunch of commercial property under their belt as well. Well, what does that do to the market in that particular region of the state?
Well, it's certainly is putting downward pressure on everything. I mean, you're not going to see a lot of new construction up there until a lot of that vacant space is absorbed. A lot of the land that you've seen, where I think the majority of a lot of those bankruptcies have come from, a lot of the land speculation. Of course, that's just a shakeout of the kind of the 100% loan deals and the free money that seemed to be floating up there with all the financial institutions at the time betting on it was going to continue, and it's just the fallout of that. I think again, any projects, especially up in northwest Arkansas, are going to have to be the end user driven. I do think that there's a window of probably in some medical office, especially around the hospitals. I think the thing we forget, and what we got to remind ourselves of, that if we're looking at northwest Arkansas, the main economic engines that have driven northwest Arkansas are still there, and as a whole are performing very well. The fact is, with the University of Arkansas, the education, you're seeing a lot of this innovation with the whole Green Valley network. Several Swedish companies are locating to that part of the state. I think you're going to see other opportunities in tourism with Crystal Bridges coming online. I think a diversification of based on those four economic bedrocks up in northwest Arkansas will in the next 2 years help to absorb some of this excess space, and where we can get back to maybe an equilibrium 2012 or so.
He's Greg Nabholz, CEO of Nabholz Properties and a principal with Sperry Van Ness Commercial Real Estate. Greg, thanks for being with us. Thanks for your insight.
Thank you, Roby.